Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something.
Wait a minute, you ain't heard nothing yet.
You are listening to the Live to Create podcast. Hello everyone, welcome to the Live to Create podcast, coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee. I am your host, Shane Holmgren, and I am joined today from Atlanta, Georgia by Eulyn Hufkie. Eulyn is a film and television costume designer. Originally from Cape Town, South Africa, Eulyn made her way to the States after college and worked on commercials for Nescafe and M&amps. She did the costume design for the 2012 horror film The Collection and has spent the last 6 seasons on AMC's hit zombie show The Walking Dead, the most popular TV show in cable television history. Well, Eulyn, thank you so much for doing this. This is awesome. I'm very excited to have you on today.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to start out, my first question is, how does one go from South Africa to costume designer for one of the biggest TV shows in America? There's a lot of steps in between those. Let's take some of those steps.
Well, I didn't know much about the film business or that there was even a career to be had in this business growing up in Africa. But we offered a cheap place for people to shoot commercials and to shoot films eventually. And now even TV shows. We have a TV show, Black Sails, is shot there right now. And I was a model in Cape Town. So one day I decided I needed a real job outside of modeling, another job, when I got a bit older. And the woman dressing me, asked if I could shadow her. Shadow means to us working for free. And I did that for one day and it just clicked. It just absolutely felt right to me. I could get paid to dress people up and play with clothes and shop and draw and paint and get messy and then be glamorous and then the job also entails research, so I got to do research and travel all over the world, travel back in time, travel ahead and come up with ideas for futuristic things and anyway, I had quite a good old time in Cape Town doing all of that, and then moved to the States after much encouragement from many people who I met there who were from America. Said, "Oh, you'd love LA. You should come over. We'll help you out." And I came over, and they did. And then moving there was, I started all over again. After 10 years in the business, started absolutely from scratch in LA. Struggling artist all over again. But I think with my work ethic and the experience that I had, I worked my way up through the ranks pretty quickly.
What was your first job, your first paid gig doing this in South Africa? And then same question for once you got to LA.
When I first started in South Africa, my first job was on a TV commercial. And it was a glamorous television commercial with all these beautiful models at a beautiful home up in the mountains overlooking the ocean. And everybody was in bikinis kind of strutting around the pool. Very sexy, very chic and beautiful. Of course, the job right after that, I was dressing people for India, Pepsi India, shot in, or the Coca-Cola India shot in Cape Town. And then I did Saudi Arabia Ramadan for Pepsi, so like it changed every week. There was a different place. When I got to LA, my first job was on Hallmark Movie of the Week. My first paid job, because I did a few other things. And I think I worked with horses, and it snowed on that show. So that was quite different. I had to go all the way up into nearly where Big Bear is. And I had my first snow outfit. And I was dressing people in the snow. It was very cold, but the only thing that was sticking out was my nose. So I didn't feel it all that much.
I'm very curious about the technique and the preparation that goes into costume design. A few minutes ago, you said it takes research.
Yeah.
But you mentioned some things that I wouldn't expect to hear. You said like painting and cutting, and you're not just sewing stuff. It sounds like you have a whole art supply studio going on.
Yeah, I do have an art supply. Yeah, like arts and crafts for sure. Well, the very first step is you read the script, you break it down, and you decide how you'd like to dress the characters. How you see them, and then you talk to the director who gives you more insight into what he or she sees for the characters, who they are, and together you realize their backstory before the audience meets them. And so I would then come up with a look for each character. If it's a contemporary show, I'm shopping. And so I can pull images from online. Sometimes I'll do a presentation that looks like a magazine or portfolio, and sometimes if it's a cool like hip-hop-y type deal, it would be a poster. I would do a poster. If it's something very glamorous and stylized, I would do like a PowerPoint presentation with music, and then everybody looks at it and goes yes or no, and then by the time the actor comes on board, we already have something to present, and clothing is in-house and made, and then they try it on, and the character comes to life, or we tweak until it does. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into the final decision about how it's going to look.
So if you're working on a feature film or something that's a movie length, and you've got an average size cast, from the time you read the script until the costume decisions are finalized, what kind of time frame are we looking at there?
But it depends. Every film is different. Depends on how much money they have. With the more money you have, the bigger the prep time. Even on a show as big as The Walking Dead, the prep time wasn't always very much. When you do a series, and the way we shot it, while we're shooting, we're prepping the next episode. So while I'm shooting episode 601, let's talk about last season, 601, where we had thousands and thousands of walkers and new characters in a new town, we were also then prepping for the second episode, and sometimes the third. So that's really, really hard work, and it's a big rush. You're constantly chasing time. I always used to say time is my enemy, and my best friend and my enemy.
On The Walking Dead, how much time does each episode take up in the calendar?
So every 7 shooting days, and sometimes an 8th day of a second unit, which means additional, fill-in shots, close-ups and things like that of hands or shoe or whatever is necessary. And then we were, in that time of the 7 day of shooting, I was prepping for the next 7 days. We really didn't get a day off or a day in between or any of that sort of thing. It was constant.
How did you handle that when you had thousands? Because you weren't just dressing the main characters, you're also dressing the zombies, right?
Yeah. All of them. Every single one.
So if you've got a scene with, I assume they were like doing some of the zombie like CGI to like duplicate them.
Yeah, there's definitely a huge department that does the CG zombies, but for all the ones that are up close and personal and everything, we dress about 450 of them, 500, maybe more. And then in the deep background, they were multiplied. And that's also a special thing. That's when second unit comes into play, because you're dressing maybe 10 to 15 walkers against the green screen. And then they multiply them. So they have to be sort of generic.
How do you find 400 outfits in a week?
Well, even with season 6, I actually had lots of leftover from the previous 5 seasons, and I guess we just got really good at it, honestly, dude. We just got so good at it. We got good at making clothes for zombies. But it took a lot of us doing a lot of laundry and a lot of painting. And sometimes I would lay it all out on the floor and then just like spray everything on the floor, and then flip it over in the sun and spray the other side. And then once the people have it on, I literally would go through their lineup, and I go through every single person and tweak them. I have a team of people too.
What are you spraying them with?
What do I spray them with? Well, we make a special paint. I have different colors. The yellow one is past, and then we have grass stain. Bodies seep when they die, so we made up our own colors and our own little gross names for each one. I would say, hand me some more past, or bring me some dirt, or hey, this one needs more blood. And yeah, we had it all.
One of the things you guys have been great at is, as each season progresses, the zombies get more and more deteriorated.
Yeah, absolutely.
So each season, are you revising the sort of costume process? Are you putting the clothes through additional, like chopping them up?
Absolutely, I am, yeah. Because when it first started, I mimicked each season's walkers after the comic book cover. So in the first season, in the season at the farm, for example, I used a lot of yellow and brown and earth tones. And at the prison, we were introduced to a lot of Georgia clay, so I incorporated more of those colors. But by the end, by now, when I finished with them in season 6, they became more of a herd. I think the danger with them is in the numbers. So we took away the individual colors from the costumes and made them all blend together, just as a herd of a mass of grays and browns. I think it's creepier, and it enhanced the makeup more when we took the clothing colors away. So that was the plan. I hope it worked.
What's more enjoyable to you, working on the zombies, which seems like a ton of fun, or working with the actual stars of the show?
It's different challenges, but I love. I guess what I didn't mention earlier is that part of dressing any character is doing an intensive character study. I have to do an intensive character study to determine who this person is and to be able to make decisions for them when I'm shopping. So, for example, with Rick, he was a police officer, so I always dressed him like a gentleman. He's always in a white T-shirt, like a police officer would be, or he was in his Western shirt, always tucked in, with his belt and the gun showing, always still presenting himself as the gentleman that he is, in a sense. And then, of course, when he lost his mind, presenting him completely opposite to that. Even with Michonne, for example, I think that she purposefully dresses like, am I allowed to say badass?
Absolutely, if that's what it is.
She dresses herself like a badass on purpose, like a warrior, as a warning when she goes out into the world, into this apocalyptic universe. People know not to mess with her because they're looking at her and she's warning them just by her appearance, back off, because I'll probably kill you, And I think that's the different characters. Each have their own personality, and each of them have their own style. And I had to come up with that style according to how their brain works,
Mm-hmm. How closely do you work with the... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
How closely do I work with the actors?
No, with the prop department.
Oh, props. Oh my gosh, so closely. I actually ask for the props when I dress people. So I have the guns in the room and stuff. I don't like messing with them too much, but I don't mind the knives, but I'm not so into guns. But I would ask to have them in the room so I could dress the clothing with the props.
So how much input? You said there's a couple actors that did sort of come up with their style.
It's a collaboration for sure. It's a collaboration. There are certain things that as people, we feel more comfortable wearing. Whether, some people will be like, oh, I don't like tight pants, so then I have to take that into consideration, but without detracting from the overall appearance.
And you can't say to the actor, hey, this is not you, this is your character, and your character wears tight pants.
You absolutely can say that, but I try not to discourage actors' input because together we enhance the character. So I feel it's a collaboration. I don't like to be bossy unless it's absolutely necessary. And the only time a costume designer, not the only time, but one of the times as a costume designer we can be bossy about it is when it's like heavily researched and it's a period piece, because you can be like, well, they didn't wear that in the 20s. Mm-hmm. This is how they wore it. But in this show, it being futuristic, it being contemporary, futuristic, and period all at the same time, it was almost nice to sometimes use actors' personalities. For example, Glenn, he's the character Glenn. He in real life, Steven used to love to roll his pants and wear skinny jeans and skinny pants. So I used that for his character too. We always rolled it. Those little quirks, I think, make that little bit of difference in a world where we're just wearing pants and tops,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, sometimes. But again, it's such a collaboration. I certainly don't go in guns blazing and, excuse the pun, but I don't go in guns blazing telling everybody what to do. I love getting input from everyone and then being able to make the final choice,
Which character on the show was the most challenging for you to figure out?
Gosh, I think I would have to say Daryl because he's such a complex character. And when we first meet him in season 1, he's a hunter, and he's, for lack of, they called him a redneck. He's the redneck of the group. But by season 2, he's actually a biker. He has such a hectic story. There's a beautiful episode where we discover his past with his brother and his abuse and what he'd been through and why he detaches from people and the group. Because he doesn't want to love anyone. He wants to be on his own. That's what he's used to. That's how he feels comfortable. And that was a beautiful story to be able to tell through his clothing. And then eventually, I think by the end of when I left him in season 6, I think we really get a sense of who he is. He's always, the our little man in black, our Johnny Cash, guardian, dark angel,
So he was the most challenging one. Which one was the easiest? Was there anyone that just instantaneously?
I think for me it was Beth. I just loved her little character. She was so sweet. So sweet and gentle and kind and simple, the little girl in her I could relate to. I sewed all her clothing myself. I would add little things to it, little embroidery or make her jewelry. I made all of her jewelry. I could relate to that character. She was the caretaker. So for me it was easy, not because it was an easy task, but because I could relate to her so easily. Like, I'm a caretaker, and I always imagined she was one sewing Herschel's buttons on, looking after her daddy, making sure her sister was okay. So yeah, that's a great question. No one's ever asked me that before.
We try to do things creatively around here.
Yeah, I can tell.
What has been your favorite character to work on?
Oh gosh, I think the character of the zombie herd has been my favorite character to work on because it's ever evolving and it takes me to a place that I'm not necessarily comfortable with. Some of the research I've had to do in terms of dead bodies and secretion has been absolutely disgusting. It's not something that I would normally on a Sunday afternoon research, but I had to go to that place and I found that I like being challenged. So that was a big challenge and I enjoyed it.
You worked on the movie, was it The Collection?
I did, yeah. I designed The Collection. Yeah.
So that's another horror movie. So you've got a zombie apocalypse TV show. Are you gravitating towards the horror genre, or was that just a coincidence?
I guess I am. I'm the scream queen now. I'm not sure why. Honestly, I have to close my eyes sometimes when I'm watching these things. I watched one the other day. I watched Babadook. And couldn't sleep that night that well. I kept thinking Babadook was going to come and get me. So I've always been a bit of a sissy when it comes to horror movies, but I've really enjoyed making them because if it scares me, it will scare the audience, and that's awesome. That's the goal.
Do you dabble with makeup at all, or is it strictly the clothing?
I just do the clothing. I have so much appreciation for the artistry that goes into makeup, and I have been so blessed to work with Greg Nicotero, who I think is an absolute genius. But no, that's his thing and I do my thing and we just make it work together. I love the collaboration and learning from him. It's been incredible. I'm so grateful. But no, that's it. That's not my thing. I can barely do my makeup on my own face, so you wouldn't trust me to do it on anybody else's, I promise you.
Through your whole career, what's the furthest back in time you've had to research?
Gosh, oh my gosh, this is fun. I did research. I wasn't the designer, but as an assistant designer for years, that was my job to do research. It was a 1920s Moroccan story it was The Young Black Stallion. And it was about a little girl who had to dress like a boy so she could ride the horses in a competition to, win the competition for her grandfather. And it was set in 1920s Morocco. And it was also an IMAX. So everything had to be constructed and hand sewed because back in 1920s Morocco there were no machines, so there was no machine stitching. I had to learn how to make shoes. I made shoes, little leather shoes because we couldn't have rubber soles. It was incredible and really unforgettable experience and yeah, that was amazing. And I can't believe that I know how to drape Moroccan bourbon people. I know how to drape their tents and stuff. It was beautiful. What an amazing nomadic culture. That's what they do is they just collect things like pirates. They just collect maybe a coin or a thing or a stone or a jewel and they sew it onto their clothing and their hairdressers. It's incredible.
I remember seeing that movie. The Black Stallion, the original one, was my favorite movie as a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, what's not to love?
Do you ever take costumes home and wear them out for fun?
No, dude, I don't do that, but I pretty much dress myself in a costume as often as I can. And Halloween is a huge big deal in my life.
That's what I was just about to ask. Let's talk about Halloween because that's a big deal for me too.
So Halloween, I love it. I like group themes though because it just makes it even. Then I can make more than one costume. If I do a group theme, I'm making everybody, which I love, and I did that every year on the show. always do like a theme, and it's fun. I love it.
And everyone was willing to be roped into your month-long Halloween extravaganza?
Yeah, I was the boss, so they had no choice. So I liked it. They had to do. And when I came up with the theme last year, it was fairies. I thought they were going to kill me. I had a big major coup on my hands. And I said, no, let's just use fairies and see how you can go with that. Be creative. I'm not saying you need to have anything in particular. We don't all have to look like we're from Lord of the Rings, but you have to have a set of wings. And you would be amazed with what the kids came up with. They were incredible. I had a robot fairy, unicorn fairy. I mean, they were all different kinds. They were beautiful biker fairies. They were beautiful.
Which project that you've worked on has been the biggest learning experience for you, I guess? Which one puts you out of your comfort zone the most?
I embrace all of them with such an open heart, and I look forward to the challenges they present that I've never had. It's difficult. I would say in this business as a whole, the most difficult part is staying creative within boundaries and being okay with that, if that makes any sense. Like any business, as an artist, if you're going to make money and work for a business, you have to, your ideas don't always come to fruition the way you saw them originally. And you need to be okay with changing things here and there to appease the group as a whole, whether it's the actor or the director or the producer. When they all see things differently and you're the one having to do the presentation, in that lies the difficulty. Therein lies the difficulty, because you're trying to put on a lot of hats and trying to make a lot of people happy and hoping for the best. So I find that very challenging sometimes, when we're all not on the same page.
Yeah, I've been on sets before where you've got a couple different people who they're sort of in charge in their own mind, and they've got ideas, and you're getting directions from 3, 4, 5 different people who haven't talked to each other. So who has the final say? Who's the decision up to? Well,
on a movie, it would be the director. But on the TV show, it's the showrunner. So Scott Gimple has the ultimate say.
And how often does your vision line up with his idea?
I'd like to think all the time, since I did the show for him for so long. But sometimes, he'll always win. How's that? He'll always have to win. He's the boss. So you just have to make it work.
Eulyn, you've been with the show from the very beginning, and I know this is your last season now. So what's next for you?
Well, lately I get scripts and they end in blood. So I'm hoping that I can do something pretty. Maybe vampires, they're sexy. Vampires are sexy. Zombies not so much. So maybe something like vampires that can be more stylized and sexy, and where I can get to do more drawings and less shopping. That would be a dream.
So vampires are on the bucket list. Any particular eras or settings?
Oh, no. I love them all. I love all of it. I just love bringing characters to life, through their costumes. Some of my favorite work has been favorite time in any movie is when, I think it was season 2 actually on this show, or season 3, I can't remember. It was just before they found the prison. When we started the season, no one said a word. No one said one word for the entire teaser, entire opening of the show. But between the actors, the makeup, and the clothing, you knew exactly who they were and what they'd been through. It was unspoken, but you could tell exactly what was going on. I think they sat there and they opened up a can of dog food and shared it. The clothing was all deteriorated. There was no patching on the clothing. There were just holes. They were dirty. And then, of course, look at Andrew Lincoln's, his eyes is Rick. I mean, he's just an incredible actor. And that, to me, that's costume design right there. That without saying one word. You don't have to convince the audience how to feel or how to see it. It's shown, So, yeah, I guess that's what I love to do. And I'm not scared to do it anyway with any character. Just have a good story, That's why I started doing this. I want to tell stories, good stories.
For you, what is the most rewarding part of your job as a designer on a daily basis?
I'm not going to lie, as an artist, I love it when people like my work and they say, oh, I love that show, it's so cool. I'm like, yeah, it makes me feel good. Yeah, I like external validation. But also, with every other costume designer, when you present a new costume on set for the first time, to not only the actors, but the crew as well. And on The Walking Dead, for example, we're such a close-knit group and such a beautiful little family. When I brought Negan onto set, for example, everybody was just, the people patting me on the back and just like, we were all so excited because it made me know that I did a good job, not just for me as a costume designer, but for the group as a whole and for our show. Our show is going to kick ass, and I helped do that. So that's always rewarding.
And speaking of Negan,
yeah,
you knew this question was coming. Who did he kill?
I did. The answer is no. I don't know. I really don't. As you know, I'm not going back to season 7. So I really don't know. I can't wait to watch season 7 with the rest of you guys and be as excited and nervous and sad when I see what happens.
Who on set does know? And what's their phone number?
I reckon Scott knows. I think Scott Gimple knows. It's all in his head. All of this shit is in his head. And he doesn't even tell us. I'll give you his number at the end.
Did you guys know that it was going to be a cliffhanger like that before you shot it or before it aired?
We were told various things before the final decision was made. We were told different things. But yeah, we absolutely knew by the end that it would be what it was.
Let's take a sidestep and talk about the creative process itself a little bit. When you get up every day, you go into work, you do stuff that you already know how to do. How much stuff are you learning? Or is there like a constant, like you've got to keep up with new developments in, I don't know.
Well, I have an amazing crew, first of all. Let me not leave them out. They're incredible. And by the end of it, we've all been together for so long. A lot of it, like you said, it was a well-oiled machine. So you come in and things are already happening, But I learn all the time. I really do. I try to stay current, try to use new products all the time, try new things. And I learn a lot from the people that I'm working with. I'm always open to ideas and we'll table ideas, and I learn from them. If they have an idea that they want to share with me or a new technique or something, I try to be open to it, and if my way works better, we'll use my way. But yeah, part of the reason why I left is because I had been doing for so long that it wasn't, I knew how to do it all already, and I'm ready for a change, ready to try something new. What
is the bare minimum skill set that somebody would need if they wanted to get into costume design?
Well, it depends on what they would, what kind of movies they'd want to do. But I think having good taste and honoring the characters, I think, is the biggest deal. Because when you're doing a show like Sex and the City, you need to be hardcore into fashion and have good connections and be able to dress Sarah Jessica Parker. When you're a show like mine, I'm working with Dickies and Levi's. So you just have to honor the show. You can't come into The Walking Dead and try to dress them like you would. It's not fashion. A lot of people get confused. They think that, it's fashion. It's not. It's about character creation. It's not about fashion, unless it's a show to do with fashion. So, but I don't know. I think honoring the story, honestly, and then really understanding what the job entails, and knowing your place in the bigger scheme of things.
Do you have to be a seamstress? Do you have to be able to work a sewing machine and make clothes?
No, not really. That's why I didn't say any of that, because you really don't. There are people who sew, and they're great at it, and it's all they want to do, and they don't want to be designers, they want to sew. There are people who age clothing, if you choose not to age. I age clothing, I love it, but you don't have to. But a lot of designers don't. If you just know who to hire and put them in the right places, and you are just a creative, do you just love creating the characters and you're good at communicating with the producers and the like, then you'll be on your way, on a smaller show. Then, of course, if you are doing giant Alice in Wonderland movies or Marvel films, then you better know what the hell you're doing and have a big, solid background in design and know how to draw and make patterns and all of that sort of thing.
I think one of the things that's cool about what you do is it's one of those things, if you do it well, we don't really even notice it as a component of the show.
Yes, I guess that's another skill you need to have as a costume designer, which many don't, but you need to be humble and know your place in the bigger scheme of things. We're not out there for ourselves. And I think that's why The Walking Dead is so good, because we're all in there for each other and for the story. Ultimately, I'm not there for the fame and the glory. Like, I'm there to work my ass off and get the job done well. And I think that's a good skill to have as a costume designer or anybody in this business.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh my gosh, an Emmy and Oscar. I don't know. The sky's the limit. I don't know. I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm really open right now, having left such a big show, and I'm open to the next great thing, and I welcome it. I'm sure it's going to be great. And then I will say that I'm not sure that I'll ever do another show for that long. I just loved it so much. But 6 years is a long time. Traditionally in this business, costume designers, you're usually doing like 3 or 4 shows a year. Unless it's a period big movie and then it's a year, but 1 show a year. But to be on something for 6 years is unusual.
Do you prefer film or television?
I like both very much. Again, it depends on the story. I don't have a preference. Honestly, what I really enjoy a lot of the time are commercials. Those are fun, and you have to be very creative. You're telling a story in 60 seconds.
What I know you've done, you did something for M&M and I think Nescafe, is that correct?
Yeah, so in Cape Town, because it's cheap to shoot, we get the whole of Europe is in there shooting commercials for all over. So I've done like the Children's Museum in Germany. I've done Nescafe for Russia. I've done, which was actually a play on Carmen, the opera, the Spanish opera. So I had women dancing around fire in flamenco dresses and things. I've done draped saris and done Ramadan things for Saudi Arabia. Just all sorts of. I've gone all sorts of places through my job, and actually never been there. But yeah, that was fun. Commercials are super fun.
One of the things I'd like to drag out of you, if I can, because we're going to use this sort of as an education platform, so there'll be people tuning in that aren't just interested in what you've worked on, but like what insights you have into the industry. So I'm sure, if you've got a team, when you come in, you said you guys have a well-oiled machine. What traits do your team members have that make that machine well-oiled?
Well, my team in particular are incredible because they have to be nice. I just don't deal with bitchiness or egos. Everybody has to be nice and polite and respectful towards one another, because we're all there and we're all doing a very important thing, whatever it is. And my team were a good group of folks. They all were very kind to each other. We used to hang out over the weekend, and people would be like, why? Why are you going together over the weekend? But we did. I think that's very important. When you're working with people for 16 hours a day, sometimes 6 days a week, you need to like each other, and you can only you like kind, nice people, so that's important. But then also work hard, but work strong and humbly. Always be humble. There's no reason to have an ego. This business can often make people feel like they're important, because you get it sounds glamorous, I'm in the film business, but it's just hard bloody work. And if you go in with the attitude of wanting to work and lighting the load maybe of your colleagues, helping wherever you can. I do that. And if somebody's struggling or taking too long or whatever, I jump in and help. And that's the attitude we had, and I think that's what gets the job done right and gets it done well. When the worst thing in the world is when you're still working and it's midnight and people are like, okay, well, bye, see you tomorrow. So, yeah, good work ethic.
So if somebody came to you and said, Eulyn, I want to be a costume designer, what is the secret to making it? How do I get into the business, and then what's the secret to success? What do you tell them?
If somebody came up to me and said they want to work in costumes, I'd say, can you do makeup? Because you carry your bag's a lot lighter than the racks that we have to carry. No, honestly, you'd have to have a passion for it. If you don't have a passion for it, you won't succeed, because it's bloody hard work, and you have to love it. You have to love the characters. You have to love your team. You have to love the story, and that's the only way you can get it done. You can't half-ass this. You've got to be in it, or fully in it. And to break into the business, again, you have to be humble. It's so hard to get in. It is about who you know. And so when you are PA and you're starting out, be nice, because You never know who your other PA friend's daddy is, or auntie is, or mommy is, or who he'll become. He might be a writer, and his script, is the number one bestseller, and everybody's fighting to buy it and make the movie. And you were mean to him, and you'll never work again. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest thing. It's just be humble, work bloody hard, and remember why you're there. It's in the beginning when you get into the business, it's so easy to get caught up, in friends or whatever. The long hours, going out to parties after all of that. But remember why you're there. Remember why you're there, and it will be fine.
All right, so that's talking somebody into it and telling them advice that would be useful for them. If I came to you and I said I wanted to do it, and you knew, I want you to talk me out of it. What are all the reasons that I should not pursue a career in film and television costume design?
Gosh, that's a hard question, because that really hits home, But this is not a family-friendly business. So if your life goal is to have babies and, I'm not saying you can't do it all. You absolutely can do whatever you want in life, but it's not family-friendly. The large majority of the people, you've seen, even the top famous actors, everybody's getting divorced, everybody's, it's not family-friendly. It can be very, you kind of give your heart and soul to the job. You travel a lot. You never know where you'll end up or when you'll be back. These are all real things. Your daddy can't always be there for soccer games. It's a very different life, and you have to be okay with that. And I'm okay with that.
If you were to quit the design business tomorrow, what's a singular experience that you will never forget and go, it was all worth it for that one moment?
I don't know. I guess I've met amazing people, and it's all been great. I've enjoyed all my time there. I have no regrets about doing what I do. I really, that's such a hard question for me, because I don't live my life that way. I don't live like one moment. It's all just been amazing. Things that stick out to me are when people were shitty to me, because I always thought I would never act this way. That was what stood out to me, that I can make the business different, that it doesn't have to be like that it can be different. It can be a more gentle business. And I think I achieved that, so I think that stands out to me the most, and I made a difference. And I trained a lot of people and gave them careers.
I've got a few more, a final segment of questions, and we can go through these kind of fast here. Some of them are just single-word answers. But
okay. Single word, just one word.
Well, as many as it takes. Some of them are just one. Okay. But yeah, you use as many words as you need.
Okay.
So if your job only paid the bills and not a penny more, would you still continue to do it?
Oh, please, no, I'd absolutely do it. I would do it for free. But I have bills, so I can't. Sorry, I got it the wrong way around. I would do it for free. I really would, but I'm not allowed. My agent would not allow that. What
talent or skill do you not have that you wish you did?
Oh, I wish I could sew better than I can on a machine. I sew really well by hand, but on a machine, I wish I could be as good as the people that I hire.
Fill in the blank. I am a success if I
like myself at the end of the day.
And I am a failure if I
don't like myself when I go to bed at night.
What is the single best piece of advice that you followed to get where you are today?
Be humble.
What is a piece of well-intentioned advice that you're glad you ignored to get where you are today?
Be tougher. Be more. My ex would say this to me all the time. You're too soft. You need to be tougher. You need to be. And I just don't think that would. No, I just don't think that's the best advice. Because I think those people are mean half the time. I think it's selfish. When you're so tough that you have no compassion, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
What character trait do you like best about yourself?
I'm kind. I like that I'm kind.
And which character trait do you like least about yourself?
That I'm kind. No, can be very tough on myself. I'm very hard on myself a lot of the time. I often don't think I'm good enough.
Fill in the blank. I believe every child should have the opportunity to
paint.
If you could suggest one piece of self-improvement that everyone on Earth would adopt, what would it be?
Open your eyes, like really open your eyes around you and stop walking in a tunnel.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh my God, I would make people's clothing fall off at random. Yeah.
Best answer so far on the show.
Or if somebody was being really mean, I'd just be like, ting, and the pants would fall off, and they'd be like, oh, it'd be awesome.
And you would use it purely for good and never for evil, correct?
Or sometimes just because it would be fun.
Just for fun. Eulyn, that is the best answer I've got for that question yet. If you could have dinner with anyone alive or dead, who would it be?
Oh, man, that's tough because there's so many. I'd love to have dinner with my grandfather because I never got to meet him, and he's my dad's father, so I imagine he'd be awesome because my dad's awesome. But otherwise, Nelson Mandela.
An hospitable nearby planet has been discovered, and you've been recruited to help colonize it. You may take any 3 items with you that you wish. What are they?
Oh, dude. Can you take people?
Let's say your favorite people are going to be there, and all your needs will be met.
Yeah.
So 3 personal items.
Can I take my dog? Can my dog be one?
Yep.
No. My dog's already there, obviously. He's already there.
Oh, okay.
Well, because these are my favorite people. He's a piece.
So is mine. I agree.
It would have to be, I have to have lip balm. It's just a thing, and bourbon. And, wait, it's a planet?
It's a planet, yep.
It's the air on the planet. Like, can I breathe?
It's breathable air.
You can breathe, and there's water.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I don't need a whole lot. And my dog is already there. My favorite people are there. I have bourbon and lip gloss. I'd probably be cool. Maybe, do I have clothes on, or...
Well, unless there's somebody else, on that planet has the superpower that makes people's clothes fall off and they picked you.
Well, it's not like Naked and Afraid, right? Because then I would take some duct tape with me because you can make clothing out of it. I don't know. Maybe something like, I'd probably take a family album. I love pictures. Maybe I take my camera. That might be one.
All right.
I take my camera because I'm a photographer and I love taking pictures, or maybe a photo album, like all my favorite people in it.
So you got a camera, lip gloss.
Camera, lip gloss, and bourbon. Yeah,
bourbon.
Done. Yeah.
All right, final question.
All right.
You've just won a Lifetime Achievement Award in your field. What is your acceptance speech? There won't be any music to cue you or rush you off the stage, so you can get to all of the thank yous that you need. And if there's any personal cause that you want to champion, this is your opportunity to let her rip.
Okay. I would say thank you to all the people who hurt me because it made me better. The award is for all the little girls who didn't fit in, like I didn't. All the artists who don't think they can make money. And now I feel like I want to cry. That's it. Done. That's it. And all the mixed race girls in Cape Town who, they throw away. That's a cute question. But it's very deep.
Well, you're officially off the hot seat. That's all I've got for you.
Yay! Thank God. I'm going to have a sip of this bourbon now.
Eulyn, you were fantastic. You were great. You had fantastic answers. That was a delight talking to you.
Thank you so much. I think what you're doing is amazing. So thank you for having me be a part of it.
Well, it
very
was
cool.
Great to have you. Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Bye. Once again, that was film and television costume designer Eulyn Hufkie from The Walking Dead. For more information on her, you can visit her website, www.eulyn.com. I'd like to thank everyone for joining me today. You are listening to the Live to Create podcast, and this is Shane Omgren reminding you to dream big, be inspired, and live creatively.